Here's the cover of The Spectator. It's confronting. Daughter slaughter. And we see the abortionist, we see the little girl baby in the womb as the abortion doctors are gathering around, and the little baby is saying, "Stop, I identify as male." So this is, as I said, a serious issue, but the underlying thing here, the underlying threat here, David, is to do with sex selection driving abortion. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Rowan, when a bill this radical is being rammed through Parliament this quickly, you've got to get to what will focus the public mind on what this bill means. And the question of sex selection abortion has brought that clarity. We know that in certain Asian cultures like India or China, deliberate abortion of baby girls is rife. We read last week that a province of India recently found that the 216 babies born there in the last 3 months, not one of them was a girl. None of them. Now, in Australia, under our laws, which should not allow abortion unless there's true medical reason, we can keep the lid on abuses like that. The great thing about the radical nature of the New South Wales bill is that it will fling open the doors to sex selection abortion. Under 22 weeks, that's 5.5 months of pregnancy. Up to that time, this law will allow abortion, no questions asked. You don't ask for a medical reason. The patient doesn't have to give any reason. They don't have to declare that it's for sex selection. They simply have it by right. And when people understand how the humanity and the human rights of that unborn baby has been utterly stripped away, such that it being a girl is grounds for it to be destroyed, then people understand how radical this bill is. And you mentioned the conscience thing. That's why Mark's story is so vivid. Because this is not theoretical, this is not fear-mongering, this is real. Mark, as he'll tell us, actually faced this nightmare in Victoria under the basically identical law that will come in New South Wales. And he'll tell about how he was asked to do a sex selection abortion by an Indian couple. But the point is, when Mark said, "I cannot and will not do that," it was Mark Hobart who was the criminal. Mark Hobart broke the law by refusing to collaborate in this abominable destruction of a baby girl at 19 weeks. Mark broke Section 8 of that law, and guess what? In New South Wales law, Section 8 will crush the conscience of people like Mark and myself, who will, of course, not obey this law, this totalitarian law, as Frank Brennan put it, that's coming in here.
Well, Mark, I'll get you to tell your story in a second. First, we'll just listen to another Mark Speakman, one of our politicians here, speaking earlier today.
If this bill is carried, unless it's amended, then basically a woman will be able to obtain an abortion below 22 weeks for any reason. I'd hope if someone was seeking a late-term abortion for sex selection, that would be knocked back.
So that's Mark Speakman. Now, Dr Mark Hobart, tell us your story that David has referred to. And again, do remind viewers, this is a very delicate topic, and yes, we are 3 men talking about it, but both Mark and David are GPs, have experience in this matter. Mark, your particular experience should send a chill down us all. Tell us the events that led up to your recent experience.
Yes, well, after the abortion laws changed in 2008, I was approached by a couple who were my patients, and they asked me to refer the mother for an abortion because the baby was found to be at the ultrasound at 19.5 weeks to be a girl. I refused to refer them for this because, as I explained to them, it would not be in the best interest of the mother's physical and mental health. The couple did end up having the abortion a week later, and then I was brought into publicity at this time in about April 2013, because I was in the newspapers stating that sex selection abortion did occur in Australia. At that time there was a debate whether it did or not. It was an important debate to have, and I thought I had some valuable information about it. After the publication of those newspaper stories, I received a letter from the medical board which stated they were investigating me because I had denied a woman her rights and had not fulfilled my obligations as a doctor. They investigated me over the ensuing months until the 30th of January, when they issued me with a caution on the basis of what I had done.
David, Dr Van Gent, your thoughts on Mark's story?
First, it confirms to people that yes, sex selection abortions are happening, and once you remove all requirements for medical justification for abortion, once you allow abortion to 22 weeks, as it'll be in New South Wales, there is no way to say no to sex selection. There is no way to stop the subcultures within Australia from India, China, Vietnam, Nepal, who traditionally will undertake abortion of baby girls. We can't stop it. That is how barbaric this law is. And to rush such a momentous law through the Parliament with no notice, no public submissions, is indecent and makes one ashamed to be a Liberal supporter, as I am. The other great point for the federal government, for Scott Morrison's team, is to consider that this body which harassed Dr Hobart, put him on the rack because he would not consign a 19-week baby girl to death for the crime of being a baby girl. Hobart was dragged through this process by what? By a government agency. A government agency which sees fit to crush the very serious conscientious objection of a doctor like Mark Hobart and other doctors and nurses I could name. These government agencies must be brought to heel by Mr Morrison's much talked about religious and conscientious freedom bill. But please, Mr Morrison, don't just make it religious. There are many good doctors and nurses of conscience who don't have a religious worldview but will not collaborate in sex selection abortions. They will not collaborate in abortion on demand at 5.5 months of a little baby who's the age of the youngest preemies in our hospital nurseries. A baby who's older than the bubs who need a birth certificate and a death certificate, which is 20 weeks. Mr Morrison, make sure your conscientious and religious freedom bill protects us doctors and nurses from your government agency, the medical board.
Dr David Van Gent, passionately put. Obviously there are those who would say, oh no, it's the pro-life, it's the woman's right to choose, it's her body, and there are those who would be saying that. I would simply say, listen to the doctors. Dr Mark Hobart, thank you so much for your incredibly brave coming on here and telling your story. It's clearly one that needs to be listened to, and you've obviously been put through a hell of a lot, so our sympathy with you on that. Thank you, David Van Gent, for speaking to us today, and we shall see where this goes, and hopefully the New South Wales legislators are listening too. David Van Gent and Dr Mark Hobart, thank you both for coming on Credlin this evening, and let's hope that in the New South Wales Houses of Parliament in Macquarie Street they know what they are doing, because it certainly doesn't look like it. I'll be back with James Morrow and Jane Marwick and that crossing, that's